Mick Foley is a name that means a lot in professional wrestling. Many fans know me as Mankind, the guy with the sock puppet. Others remember me as Cactus Jack or Dude Love. I gave my body to this business, creating moments people still talk about, like falling off a steel cage or crashing through a flaming table. But my career is about more than just the bumps and bruises. It's about the connection I have with the fans, built on trust and honesty. I've always tried to be an open book, sharing my thoughts in my books and online. Being a WWE Hall of Famer is a great honor, and my Legends contract kept me connected to the wrestling world and new generations of fans. But sometimes, your conscience calls you to make a change, no matter how hard it is. I've always believed in standing up for what's right, even when it's not easy. That belief has guided me both in and out of the ring. Recently, I found myself at a crossroads, my personal values in direct conflict with my professional life. I had to ask myself if I could keep representing a company whose affiliations I could no longer support. The answer wasn't easy, but it was clear. A change had to be made. Sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought in the ring, they're fought within. This is the story of why I had to walk away, and why I hope it matters. On December 16, 2025, I made one of the hardest decisions of my career. I announced I was parting ways with WWE. WWE has been my home for years, a place where I made lifelong friends and memories, but my heart told me it was the only step I could take. The night before, I contacted WWE's talent relations and told them directly I would not make any more appearances or sign a new Legends deal. This wasn't about causing a scene or burning bridges, but about taking a stand for my principles. My announcement was made on Instagram, speaking directly to the fans who have supported me for decades. I owed them an honest explanation. I made it clear. This was a matter of conscience, not money or contract disputes. I could no longer represent a company so closely tied to a political figure whose actions I found deeply troubling. The choice to leave was the result of months of growing concern, not a sudden impulse. I watched the company's relationship with the Trump administration grow, and with it, my discomfort. I tried to reconcile my feelings with my obligations, but it became impossible. Ultimately, I had to choose what kind of person I wanted to be. I chose to follow my conscience, even if it meant leaving a place I once called home. Sometimes, standing up for what you believe in means walking away. That's what I did, and I hope it inspires others to do the same. My decision was a direct response to WWE's deep relationship with President Donald Trump. This connection is well documented and, for me, had become a serious problem. I watched as the company embraced a political administration whose policies I found cruel and divisive, especially toward immigrants. Linda McMahon, Vince's estranged wife, served in Trump's cabinet, blurring the lines between WWE and the government. Vince McMahon's friendship with Trump goes back decades, and WWE often served as a platform for him. As Trump's rhetoric became more controversial, my discomfort grew. By being part of WWE, I felt I was indirectly supporting a political agenda that went against my values. Other WWE leaders and performers also showed support for the administration, creating a culture where alignment felt encouraged. For someone like me, it became isolating and morally compromising. I could not continue to lend my name and legacy to an organization marching in lockstep with such a divisive force. That's why I had to step away. For months, I wrestled with my feelings about WWE's political ties, but one event pushed me over the edge. On December 15th, President Trump posted a cruel remark about the tragic deaths of Rob Reiner and his wife, using their loss to mock a political opponent. It was a moment that called for compassion, but instead, he chose cruelty. That comment showed a staggering lack of empathy. When I read those words, something inside me snapped. This was no longer about politics or policy. It was about basic humanity. I could not, in good conscience, continue to collect a paycheck from a company that supports such a person. That single, heartless post was the point of no return for me. Sometimes, one moment makes everything clear. This was that moment. After reading the president's post, I knew I had to make my position public. I wrote a statement and posted it on Instagram, explaining I was parting ways with WWE because of its close relationship with Trump. I specifically mentioned the president's comments about Rob Reiner as the final straw. But my concerns ran deeper, especially the administration's treatment of immigrants. I believe in treating all people with dignity and respect, and I couldn't be associated with anything less. I'd reached my breaking point. To sum it up, I borrowed a line from Popeye. I stands all I can stands, and I can't stands no more. I'd tolerated the situation as long as I could, but the cruelty became too much. My statement was a declaration of independence. I no longer wish to represent a company that coddles a man so void of compassion. I hope my words encourage others to think about their own principles. Sometimes you have to draw your own line in the sand. WWE's relationship with Donald Trump goes back nearly 4 decades. It started in the late 80s, when Trump's casino sponsored WrestleMania events. Their partnership evolved, with Trump even participating in storylines, like the famous Battle of the Billionaires at WrestleMania 23, where I was the special guest referee. Trump's involvement brought publicity and cemented his status as a WWE ally. In 2013, Trump was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, the same year as me. No one could have predicted he'd become president, making his WWE ties a political issue. The friendship between Vince McMahon and Trump, the business deals, and the Hall of Fame induction all create a powerful bond. When Linda McMahon joined his administration, that bond became an official political alliance. For fans and performers, supporting WWE can feel like supporting Trump. This tangled history is impossible to separate from the brand today. It's the reality that led to my difficult choice. My decision to leave WWE sent ripples through the wrestling community. When a public figure takes a moral stand, people react. One of the most notable responses came from Jim Cornette, a man I've often disagreed with, who offered his full support. He praised my decision, saying he wished more had my backbone and morals. That meant a lot. It showed this issue was bigger than wrestling debates. The public response was immediate and supportive. Many were disgusted by the president's cruelty, and my decision resonated with those who felt the same. On social media, fans thanked me for taking a stand. WWE itself stayed silent, likely to avoid controversy. But their silence spoke volumes. The echoes of my decision will be felt for some time. Sometimes doing the right thing means standing alone. My wrestling career was defined by pushing limits, physically and morally. As Cactus Jack, Mankind, and Dude Love, I built a legacy on risk and resilience. The Hell in a Cell match against The Undertaker is legendary, but my legacy is more than just pain. I tried to bring depth to my characters and show that wrestlers could have heart and soul. Outside the ring, I became a best-selling author, sharing my real story with fans. That's why my decision to leave WWE matters to so many. Fans have seen me bleed in the ring and open up in my books. They know I speak from the heart. When I take a stand, it carries weight. My departure forces a conversation about the intersection of entertainment and politics. It challenges the idea that we should just shut up and wrestle. By walking away, I'm making one final, perhaps most important statement. Our principles should matter more than a paycheck. Sometimes the hardest move is the right one. My decision to leave WWE was difficult, but it was made with hope. I hope to inspire others to listen to their conscience. Every individual choice matters, even when facing powerful forces. I still love wrestling and respect those who perform, but my decision is a response to a specific situation. I hope for a future where wrestling is about unity and fun, not divisive politics. Walking away opens a new, uncertain chapter for me, but I'm at peace with my choice. I can look my children in the eye and say I stood up for what I believed in. That's more valuable than any contract or Hall of Fame ring. I'll keep using my platform to advocate for a kinder world. In the end, it's about the world we want to live in. Have a nice day.